on this extraordinary morning, the first Sunday in the month of February, in which we reflect on our history. Yes, indeed, our history is with us every single day of our lives, but there's so much that we miss out on. And I'd like to take this moment, a Black History moment, to share a bit of that with you. You see a portrait before you this morning? For those of you that can't see it, it's a portrait of a man standing on a mule with a feed sack. Have you heard the term 40 acres and a mule? Do you know what it means? I'd like to share that with you this morning briefly, and a brief account of two evangelists that were foot soldiers in the community that are deeply rooted members of our history. We need to know it. Please take out a pen and a pencil this morning, Central. On this first Sunday in Black History Month, our theme for the month is In This Land, celebrating African and African American community. Can we all say community? Community. Before I tell you about the 40 acres and the mule, I'd like to share a question that I came across just the other night as I was reading from my Romans 12 newsletter. And the question that was posed says, what is our church uniquely called and positioned to do in our community? If we could all take that question home with us and meditate on that. In this season's Black History Moment, In This Land, as we celebrate a history of a powerful people that God has given so much grace and mercy unto, I celebrate you. As I look back on the whole story of the 40 acres and a mule, and I'm only limited to 5 minutes, so I'm going to be brief, so please go back and do your research for more, because there's always so much more about our people that we don't get all the time. 40 acres and the mule. It was an edict that was handed down by General Sherman during the Civil War in 1865. Sherman and one of the other war leaders met with about 20 African Americans in the community. At that time, the community was in Savannah. They met with those leaders, and Sherman had given to the Black families that were along the coast of South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida, gave them the land along the Sea Island coast. The plan was to help them get a good start. We all know about the Freedmen's Bureau. We know Otis Howard from Howard University. He played an instrumental role in trying to help keep this particular agreement in place. The agreement was that each Black family would receive 40 acres and a military mule to get their life up and going. Can you tell me what happened? Well, you know. As luck would have it, after the death of Abraham Lincoln, Andrew Jackson came into office, turned everything around. Otis Howard fought night and day to try to make sure that as many people as possible that could get that land in the 40 acres and a mule, but they gave it back to the whites. Have we seen this before? So when you hear the term 40 acres and a mule, it's not like all of our people received at that time. It was about the betrayal. When we look back on the struggle of our people and off of our backs as it continues. As we give attention to all of the efforts that were made to enhance our communities and what was taken away. Can you say we're still here? We are still here. We still have battles to fight, but we have a charge to keep, Central. And as I look back on the history of two of our leaders in our community from completely different pasts, one was a gentleman by the name of Blind Willie Johnson. Has anyone heard of Blind Willie Johnson? If you haven't, go to YouTube. They have different copies of his music there. One of his songs, let me see, I've got to get it right. One of his songs that was recorded, it was based on the story of Samson and Delilah, and it was called If I Had My Way, I'd Tear the Building Down. Back then, people just spoke what they meant and felt. And he was talking about that particular relationship. But he also had another song that was called Dark Was the Night, Cold Was the Ground, and it was about the crucifixion of Jesus. And Blind Willie Johnson circled these blocks around Atlanta as well as Dallas, Texas. He became blind when his father was fighting with his stepmother and threw a lie on him, and he was blind. But he sung all of his praises unto the Lord in the streets, evangelist in the community. Also, there was another evangelist that you just cannot miss. Her name, Amanda Berry Smith. Please write that down. Amanda Berry Smith was a Methodist evangelist out of New York and New Jersey area. She suffered through difficult marriage, first difficult marriage, and then married again to a James Smith, and then went on to answer a call to be a preacher. She preached in different churches in the African American community. Then she also caught the attention of the white community. And did I say this was in the early 1800s? She spoke in Great Britain, England, Sierra Leone, other areas in the West African countries, and she came back to her community, a community in Illinois, where she chose to go to her community. She used her talents as a preacher and as a singer to raise money and started an orphanage. This orphanage was started in Harvey, Illinois, where she built it up, and it was kept in existence until 1918. She retired in 1912 in Florida. Also, she wrote her own biography, and the title of it is just so amazing. The Lord was dealing with me, and she's telling us her story. I like to ask you, Central, in this community, is the Lord dealing with